There are tapes TLC never broadcasts. Some were time edited, some tone edited. But then there's this one, a sit down so intimate, so honest, that it was quietly shelved before the editors even got their hands on it. What went down in that little cabin at the back of the Coyote Pass property wasn't choreographed, it wasn't scripted, and it was never meant to be seen. The video starts with the sound of wind whistling through trees, only camera movement handheld. A producer's voice, unsteady, whispers, "Are we rolling?" No boom mic, no lighting setup, just Kody, leading back and forth in scuffed boots, hair more disheveled than normal, face flushed with either fury or regret. Perhaps both. Christine is seated across from him. No makeup, no microphone. She didn't come here to perform. This was not supposed to be on camera. A check-in, an off-camera reset before season 18 picked up again. But Christine had other ideas, and so did the cameraman, who in defiance of TLC protocol, left the record light flashing. Kody starts out with something combative. "They're twisting everything around, Christine. They need me to be the bad guy." But Christine doesn't flinch. Her reply is quiet. Too quiet for TV. "They don't need to twist anything, Kody. You're doing it yourself." This tape was labeled DO not air, raw hold. But somehow, a version of it leaked. Not to the public yet, but to the family. And when Janelle saw it, everything changed. Because what the tape captured wasn't just marital tension, it was a confession. Kody confesses, on tape, that Robyn's contract was not the same, that she had clauses, privileges, that her interviews were reshot if she cried too little or too much, that TLC had been warned, "Don't push Robyn too far, she's protected." Christine, shocked, reclines. This silence is thicker than any fight debated on television. Then she speaks in a whisper. "So this wasn't real for her. Not the same kind of way it was for us." Kody massages his face. "I have no idea what's real. I just signed papers." And then he utters the words that rattled everything. "Christine, we were never equals. Not on television, not in real life." The producer interrupts. "Do we want to cut off rolling?" Christine doesn't respond. She simply exits. That shot, the walkout never seen, remained deep in TLC's vault. But Robyn was aware of it, and when Christine finally did exit permanently, Robyn pleaded with them not to bring up that tape. But the damage was done. The family had already viewed it. Even Meri, who had played loyal for so long, who had followed the script. When she learned how thoroughly Robyn had been doctored, how much tearage had been practiced and lines refilmed, something inside of her broke. She ceased responding to the producers. She began coming on set without makeup, refusing to talk in sound bites. She was finished performing. And that's when the warning email arrived from TLC. If the cast refuses cooperation, post-production will adjust accordingly. Translation: cooperate or get cut. Janelle described it for what it was. Gaslighting by edit. Christine referred to it as the Great Rewrite. They weren't mistaken. The television America believed in had a secondary layer, a story within the story. Confessionals had been stitched together between episodes. Robyn's most intimate lines had been double shot, one with one without tears. Kody's voiceovers had been scripted to fit TLC's preferable narrative flow. And to top it all off, the women's silences, those agonizing minutes, were frequently chopped, truncated, reworked. And here's what nobody knew. TLC kept a private file called Recast Notes. In that file were suggestions: shift focus to Robyn's stability, downplay Christine's exit speech, edit Janelle's financial scenes with caution, keep Meri's tone ambiguous. It wasn't reality, it was perception management. So why didn't America ever see this? Because buried in a legal clause, line 17 subsection C, was a binding note. TLC has complete editorial control, including the right to leave out, recreate, or make up narrative as necessary. Fabricate, and that's why the tape never ran. Because as soon as Christine walked out, no slamming door, no crying, just soft-footed leaving. The editors didn't know what to do. No music cue, no B-roll, no Kody tirade, just quiet. And quiet doesn't cut it. But now the silence is being shattered. An old producer who stepped forward anonymously leaked a partial transcript of that scene online. Reddit was first, then it made its way into one of the fan Facebook groups. The posting disappeared within hours, but not before screenshots were captured. One line stood out: Robyn's storyline is protected. Christine's exit is not. Since then, a gradual breakdown has been underway. Fans are drilling deeper. Editors are questioning. Even one of the crew members anonymously validated that the footage does indeed exist, and that TLC's present account doesn't represent the actual timeline. And here we are. This is no longer about drama. It's about truth, and what was purposely concealed from all viewers who believed they knew the Brown family. Don't go anywhere. The continuation of the story is about how Janelle discovered the file, what she did with it, altered everything. Subscribe to Sister Wives Daily Scoop, and don't miss part 1. The document didn't seem like much to begin with. A narrow manila folder labeled Cut 18B9 Hold, crouched in the depths of a shared drive only a few dozen employees were supposed to be able to see. But one had not archived it correctly, and for whatever reason, Janelle had clicked the incorrect link at just the right moment. She wasn't snooping, she wasn't searching for scandal. Actually, she had just logged into the TLC press site to review next week's episode summary. That's when she noticed the file title Christine 9 used footage, walkout full audio. She had hesitated at first. A part of her didn't want to know. The past year had been a blur. Christine's unexpected strength, how she walked out the door with her head held high. The rest of them were left to endure Kody's storm. But curiosity isn't weakness. It's how women like Janelle get through. So she clicked. No music, no graphics, only Christine's voice, raw and steady, challenging Kody. The clip had been more than 14 minutes long, nearly all uncut. No close-ups, no sound effects, only truth. And within those 14 minutes, Janelle discovered the truth. Robyn wasn't merely a wife, she was a shielded character. Kody had confessed on record that Robyn had provisions in her TLC contract that gave her greater authority over how she was filmed. If she cried too much, they'd do it over. If her scenes portrayed her in too negative a light, they'd balance them during editing. TLC employees even had a name for it: Robyn buffering. Christine's response seared into Janelle's mind. Christine had stared at Kody, not upset, not dramatic, just tired. You let them rewrite our story. And Kody had responded, just above a whisper. They didn't rewrite it, Christine. They just made it watchable. Watchable. That word rang in her mind like a blow. Janelle slammed on the brakes, her shaking hands. She saw then how much had been stolen from all of them. Every cringeworthy second, every tear, every woundful comeback that was not intended to be evened out. They were the mess Robyn was cut to triumph over. And she'd smiled through it all. Later that evening, Janelle did not call Christine, did not call Meri, sat alone, wineglass in hand, and watched again. This time, not as a wife, but as a woman who'd been exploited, as a plot point, as contrast, as background. The following morning, she downloaded the file, archived it, 2 locations, and then Janelle did something shocking. She sent an email to TLC. I located the raw Christine footage. I have questions. Without answers, I won't be shooting the next block. I'll go public. 3 hours later, her phone called. A producer she hadn't heard from in months was suddenly very interested in her schedule. Let's discuss this, he said. You understand how intricate production can get. But Janelle wasn't having it. Not anymore. Because now, she had heard about the red folders. Every wife, as it turned out, had a color-coded folder in post-production. Robyn's was red. Christine's was blue. Janelle's was gray. The red folder, according to a leaked message from an ex-intern, came with do not cross guidelines, a set of edits that were forbidden, themes to highlight, and tones to steer clear of. Robyn wasn't only the 4th wife, she was the 4th wall, guarded, framed, friction-proof. Janelle began asking around. She got in touch with a makeup artist who had departed the show in 2022. The woman validated what Janelle suspected. We were instructed to soften Robyn up, more motherly. Not overly emotional but always endearing. But Christine, raw was acceptable for her. Same for Meri. TLC enjoyed it untidy. The irony was breathtaking. The woman with the most impeccable public image was the most staged. The women who had actually been hurt were photoshopped to appear bitter, jealous, or cold. And America ate it up. Janelle had a plan by the end of the week. She wasn't walking away. She was going to spill the truth, bit by bit, but not on Reddit. Not on Twitter. That would be gone in hours. No, she'd go directly to the one place where TLC couldn't silence her: the fans. She wrote a message, carefully crafted, no names, just a trail of breadcrumbs. Then she posted it, anonymous, to an old Facebook group called Unfiltered Wives of Coyote Pass. It was not everything you saw was real. Some tears were staged, some confessions scripted. Asked TLC, what was in folder red. It had more than 20,000 shares in 48 hours. TLC freaked out. Off-camera, cast members received tone adjustment recommendations for future interviews via email. Social media were closed down. Editors were told to re-story upcoming shows to steer clear of criticism. But too late. The Brown family wasn't shattered. It had been revealed. Christine had heard rumors previously. Fan sites gossiping about missing scenes, radio shows asserting there was a real script out there. But she never thought to look at her own face, mid-sentence, frozen in time, displayed in a grainy snapshot of a video she never knew was taken. The photograph was raw. Low light. No makeup. Her face wasn't one TLC ever broadcast. It wasn't an emotional one. It was knowing. And underneath it, a caption, "This footage was never intended to be viewed." She had initially believed it was a forgery. Fan art. But the voice in the clip, the sound of saying Kody's name, the anguish in it, that had been genuine. The precise moment she said to him, "You let the network rewrite me," now sat beyond TLC's servers. Somebody had leaked it. It didn't take her 5 minutes to determine who. Janelle. Christine didn't require confirmation. Only one woman would be so cautious as to cross out her name, so intelligent as to leave crumbs, and so daring as to carry it out. Christine was not furious. She felt relieved, because for so long her tale had been sanitized into a cautionary story. She'd been tagged the first deserter, the wife who gave in, the jealous one. Robyn, on the other hand, had been marketed in warm lighting, bathed in soothing music, presented as misunderstood. But now the curtain was rising. Christine opened her laptop and accessed a private folder TLC never took away from her. Within were raw production notes. Most were harmless. Weather reschedules, wardrobe information. Then she discovered an old episode outline that had her name underlined in yellow. EP 1404. Christine expresses doubts, emotion frustrated, defensive, calmed by Kody. That's when she understood. They weren't filming her life. They were scripting it. Her outrage during that scene wasn't placated by Kody. That scene, remember, had concluded with her stomping out of the table. But the last cut had added in 3 days prior to cover it up. A staged hug, a staged resolution. Also, Robyn's storyline could remain intact. And America never had a clue. Christine did not seek revenge. She sought truth. So she picked up the phone and called the one individual who might actually be able to help her shatter it publicly. Meri. The call went straight to voicemail. No surprise. Meri had retreated from everything TLC, group texts, even Instagram. Her silence had once felt like bitterness. Now Christine recognized it for what it truly was. Protest. Hours later, Christine's phone vibrated. A text from a number she didn't recognize. A saw the clip. "I have the journal. You're not alone. Your journal." Christine's breath caught. Years before, TLC had requested the wives to keep production journal, jot down thoughts after being filmed, so producers could use genuine quotes in voiceovers down the line. Most wives quit after a few months, except Meri. She'd held on to hers. And now, it seemed like she was going to use it. The following day, Janelle had a clandestine meeting with Christine. Not on television. Not at a coffee shop. They traveled alone to an unused parking lot, outside an old gift shop just across the Utah border. No cameras, no paparazzi, just two women after all the quiet years. Christine didn't hesitate. She removed the transcript from her bag. "You sent this, thanks." Janelle nodded, subdued. "Then they edited your exit like a tantrum." Christine laughed, but not at something humorous. "They made my freedom sound like a breakdown." Janelle rummaged in her bag and presented Christine with a flash drive. "There's more. Notes, audio, 2 alternate versions of your walkout. One was marked too calm to use." Too calm to use. That line haunted Christine on the drive home. For more than a decade, TLC had selected moments according to how reactionary they were, not how authentic. Robyn's crying was holy. Christine's skepticism, toxic. That evening, Christine received another message, this one from a production assistant, who had quietly left 6 months prior. It was brief. "They're setting up a reunion redemption arcs for Robyn. You won't be included. Watch your edit." Christine didn't say anything. She simply opened her phone and clicked record. She recorded herself. No makeup. In her living room. No script. No spin. Just the truth. There's footage you haven't seen. Moments you weren't meant to see. I left because I needed to. But what TLC showed you wasn't my goodbye. It was their version of it. And I'm done letting anyone else tell my story. She didn't share it. Not yet. She sent it in private to Janelle, Meri, and two of the old crew members she still trusted. One of them responded almost immediately. If you put this out, we'll have to respond. They won't shut up. Christine simply responded. Good. The journal was not supposed to be. Meri had created it as a producer's tool. Dailies, notes scribbled by hand. All the things she never actually said in confession. But it grew into something. A lifeline. A secret stash of all the things she couldn't say aloud. Early on she wrote positively. In her entries, she spoke about breaking scene, about how the producers appeared to be looking for balance. But by the third season, things changed. Gradually, quietly. One of them wrote, "They asked me to cry today. I had already said it twice, but the director said it didn't feel authentic. They needed it for Robyn's segment to come across softer. I'm starting to feel like background music." Christine sat in her living room, reading a PDF copy of the journal. Meri had finally sent it. 38 pages of raw, uncensored production notes. Page 17 caught her eye. It was from the week Robyn officially became part of the family. Kody stared at me like I wasn't even in the room. They made me respond to a conversation that I didn't even hear. Told me it would fill a narrative gap. Is this even still a reality show? Christine sent that page to Janelle with one sentence. It was never just in your head. And it wasn't. The journal confirmed what Janelle, Christine, and even the crew had long suspected. TLC had been shaping the sister wives' narrative like a scripted drama, piece by piece, soundbite by soundbite. And Meri, she'd been edited into a ghost. Some entries didn't even make sense at first. Notes like Robyn redo, Sheen 5, tears didn't hold, swapped Meri's voiceover into Christine's kitchen scene. Prepare Kody for solo explanation. Christine's version too long. It was surgical. A full rewriting of lived experience. Christine texted Meri again. Okay to use this. Even half of it. Meri answered back within minutes. Yes, use it all. They already erased me once. They don't get to do it again. Behind the scenes, TLC wasn't messing around. Once Christine's personal video began going the rounds amongst trusted staff, somebody in network legal raised the red flag on her contract. A buried paragraph in her initial deal read that she wasn't allowed to disseminate or sell unaired proprietary content or ancillary stories that revise or contradict broadcast depiction. In short, she wasn't supposed to share the truth, but the wording was ambiguous. And Christine's lawyer, yes, she now had one, figured they had a loophole. Because Christine wasn't posting video, she was posting lived reality. That was when the email from an old camera operator arrived. Not a producer, not an editor, a person who had stood behind a lens for a decade. He included an attachment with this title, Scene 203 Some Cut for Continuity. Robyn breakdown, alt take. Christine clicked it open. The clip was raw. No color corrected. No music. Just Robyn wearing the same dress she did in a now infamous moment where she stood up for Kody. But this cut was different. In it, Robyn says something never aired on TV. I didn't want to join if the other wives didn't agree. TLC said they'd make it okay. She pauses, takes a breath, looks off camera. They said to me, the audience needs a center. I was meant to be that, whether or not I wanted to. It's a flash of honesty, of awkwardness, of Robyn sounding like a participant, not a puppet master. The clip cuts quickly, but not before she adds, sometimes I wonder if any of this is even ours anymore. Christine didn't weep. She didn't scream. She simply shut the file and muttered under her breath, now it's no one's. Over the weekend, Janelle spoke out. On a quiet Saturday evening, she posted a cryptic comment to her Instagram story. Ask them who wrote the reunion questions. Ask them why we reshot reaction. Ask them what folder red mean. #sister wives truth. It blew up. Fan boards were buzzing. Reddit threads were soaring. TikTok personalities started creating breakdown videos about folder red, the hidden production notes, the clashing storylines. And voila, the control TLC previously maintained. It began to lose it. They made a statement, TLC stands behind the authenticity of sister wives and the respectful portrayal of all cast members. But the fans didn't believe them. 3 other former crew members spilled more episode plots in the next 24 hours. They revealed which wives were supposed to anchor each season, how emotional storylines were planned out in advance, and how TLC plotted Christine's departure months ahead of her even announcing it. It wasn't reality, it was formatting. Then the mother of all leaks happened. A screenshot of an internal email from a private TLC showrunner, sent in 2020. We're going to make Christine believe that her last episode is honest, but we're making it happen in an impulsive way. Use the close-up of Kody's confusion to imply instability. Robyn needs to come out elegant here. It wasn't signed, but it didn't have to be. The tone was unmistakable. Christine sent Meri the email screenshot. Then Janelle. No words, just the image. Janelle called first. We've done all they've ever asked us to do. We gave them our heartbreak, our children, our lives, and they cut our love story into somebody else's. Christine drew a deep breath. Then perhaps it's time that we cut ourselves back in. It appeared late at night. No press statement, no formal blog post, just a 10-second video, posted anonymously to a shadowy Mirror website, then duplicated onto a Reddit discussion board with the heading Robyn Season 13 Confession. Uncut. The production wasn't slick. The camera wobbled a little. The lighting was inconsistent, but the speaker was unmistakable. Robyn Brown. She sat on a beige interview couch, red but dry eyes, a producer's voice murmuring softly off camera. What do you want to say to the other wives? Robyn paused. Then I was told that they didn't count, that I was the one they'd build around. Her voice cracked, but not theatrically. Not the practiced tears the viewers had been used to for years. This was softer, authentic. They said the others would fall in line, that if I looked soft enough, America would forgive the rest. The clip cut off in the middle of the sentence, and that was enough. In less than an hour, hashtags were trending. #Robyn, unfiltered, #scripted, sister wives, #folder red. Confirmed. Viewers weren't merely upset, they were duped. All they believed they knew about the Browns, the drama, the jealousy, the hierarchy, now stank of manipulation. This wasn't a family falling apart. It was a story expertly threaded, unraveled, and sewn back together. Christine viewed the clip just as her phone rang with 18 missed calls. One was from TLC's legal department, the others from reporters. They needed answers. And for the first time, Christine was prepared to provide them. She did not go live. That wasn't her format. Instead, she sat in front of her laptop and recorded a soft message. I didn't leave because I was angry. I left because the show no longer became about who we were and became about who Robyn needed to be. We were asked to react, to act out emotions that weren't ours. Sometimes, we weren't even in the room when a reaction was filmed. You saw what made sense for ratings, not what made sense for our lives. She broke the pause. Robyn wasn't the villain, but she was guarded. And when someone of us asked why, they replied, because she's the glue. Without her, it all comes apart. Christine posted the clip privately at first, sent it to Janelle and Meri, both of whom signed off on it. Then she sent it to one more individual. Robyn, her message said, they used you too. You just didn't see it. Inside the TLC building, panic was beginning to set in. Producers convened in emergency calls, network reps issued gag orders. Editors started scrubbing credits, modifying online bios, preparing damage control footage to redefine the narrative. A producer sent an email, can we splice something from 2021 footage to temper Robyn's clip? Even a deleted scenes post, but it was too late. The raw, uncut clip had already been downloaded thousands of times. Followers were picking apart background shadows, cross-referencing clothes and earrings to line up the timeline. They were aligning it with known interviews and finding that entire conversations were spliced, rearranged, or even made up using voiceover overlays. Even more damning, fans discovered that in Season 15, Episode 4, Robyn appeared to cry about being misunderstood. But the audio track was recorded 3 weeks later, spliced in to match her face from an unrelated conversation. A former audio tech anonymously confirmed it. We take raw facial footage and overlay approved lines. Sometimes Kody's solo interviews weren't even real-time reactions. They were inserted thoughts recorded weeks later. America had seen a drama, but it was not reality. It was production theater. In a last-ditch attempt, TLC had tried a pre-recorded panel, hosted by an impartial figure, with only Robyn and Kody. They titled, "Setting the Record Straight." The piece had been heavily edited. Robyn denied being aware of protected edits. Kody insisted any bias was due to personal chemistry, not production bias. They both called Christine's and Janelle's responses emotional and tied to hurt, not reality. But TLC made a major mistake. At 12:04, a raw mic moment was left in by mistake. Robyn, crouched off camera, was heard whispering, "Should I just cry here, or do you want me to wait?" The internet went wild. Fans clipped it, zoomed in, captioned it, shared it. Robyn's tears had always been doubted. Now they were vindicated. In Flagstaff, meanwhile, Meri finally spoke out. She posted a single sentence on Instagram: "They asked me to pretend to forgive for an arc that never aired." Below it, a photo of her 2017 journal entry, "Told today to forgive Kody publicly, so Robyn's breakdown won't appear manipulative. I didn't say no, I just didn't say anything. I wish I had." That's when the coup de grace hit. An anonymous source, most likely someone from TLC editorial, posted the master list of episodes from the last 5 seasons. It listed not only episode titles and summaries, but planned emotional arcs per wife. Christine was tagged, "Disruption, Eventual Redemption." Janelle, "Practicality, Quiet Exit." Meri, "Emotional Ambiguity." Robyn, "Empathy, Misunderstood Unity." Kody, "Misguided Leader, Evolving Man." It was a script, and America had watched it, season after season, believing it was real. The final leak wasn't done by a whistleblower or cast member. It was done from the inside at TLC, by a rogue editor with a burner email, a conscience weighed down from years of silence, and access to the one thing everybody coveted: the uncut season 13 finale. The episode TLC had originally produced at the time had felt dramatic enough. Christine declaring she required space, Janelle attempting to step in, Robyn silent and hurt, Kody pacing, bewildered. It was intense, emotional, precisely manufactured. But the original footage? It was a different beast altogether. No editing, no score, no cuts. The opening few minutes featured the family gathered around a candlelit dinner table. It wasn't a stage set. It was Christine's actual dining room. The silence was more oppressive than the tension. Christine wasn't tearful. She was resigned. She spoke unequivocally, without drama. "This has nothing to do with leaving the marriage. It has everything to do with leaving the version of myself you built for television." Robyn attempted to interrupt, but was shut down by Christine. "You didn't join the family, Robyn. You came with handlers, with a narrative. We were fighting to survive. You had a part to play." Then Meri, so long a silent presence in cutscenes, spoke at last. What she said was never broadcast. "I was told not to overreact when Robyn was brought in, that it would make me appear unstable. They said the audience had already chosen her." Kody rose, shaken. "None of that was personal. That was the network." Christine shot back, "No, Kody. It was you. You let them write over our lives, and you smiled while they did it." The line hit like thunder. And the camera didn't blink. It didn't cut away. For once the lens remained on truth. When the entire episode leaked online, it was pandemonium. Reddit moderators weren't able to keep pace. Fan groups organized to salvage the footage prior to the takedowns. TikTok was awash with scene deconstruction, voice breakdowns, and comparisons of aired shows versus raw footage. The viewers were incensed, not so much at TLC, but at how deeply they'd been manipulated. They'd watched these women weep, shatter, fight, and now knew half of it had been constructed to accommodate a fantasy. A short statement came out from Janelle: "What you saw wasn't the whole story. That leak, that was the first actual episode." Christine had a follow-up of her own: "They edited us to be enemies, but the reality is we were survivors. I'm glad you finally got to see what they kept under wraps." And Meri? She just shared an old picture of the 4 original wives, smiling, unfiltered, pre-Robyn, pre-contracts, pre-TLC. The caption read, "We weren't perfect, but at least we were real." The consequences for TLC were immediate. Sponsors distanced themselves, ratings fell, statements were issued. The network called the leaks unauthorized and unverified, but the harm was done. Former crew members started going public. One said, "We were told to shield Robyn, that if her image shattered, the entire brand did." Another had this to say, Christine's departure wasn't abrupt. It was lengthy, cautious, and elegant. But we edited it to make her crack. And the most spine-tingling surprise? Kody had witnessed all of the last-minute edits before they were broadcast. He okayed them, each time. Weeks later, a fan-made documentary appeared on YouTube, spliced together from leaked scenes, cast comments, and interviews with past crew. It was called The Sister Wives You Were Never Shown. It racked up millions of hits in days. Christine, Janelle, and Meri decided to do voiceovers, retelling the story in their own words. It was the first time since the series started that they were in control. And Robyn? She went silent. Kody released an enigmatic message. The truth is always messy, but it's still our story. But no one was listening anymore. Ultimately, the true story wasn't about editing. It wasn't even about favoritism, contracts, or tears. It was all about 4 women, all shoved into lives they never consented to live, ultimately finding their voices. The Brown family wasn't broken by divorce or dysfunction. It was broken by the lens of a camera that never captured the entire truth. And now, that lens had finally shattered. Subscribe to Sister Wives Daily Scoop for more unpublished insights, cast reactions, and forbidden truths TLC didn't want you to hear. Let the real story unfold.